going to say. Let's see. Hoorah!
You know, Ed just said something about you all being sheep. You're not sheep. You're lions. And just the same as Alexander always led from the front. Alexander led his cavalry and never lost a battle. That's what I seek to do. We fight together. We go forth together. It's not about me leading sheep. It's about leading Americans. And Americans are not sheep. No matter what people try to say in Washington, D.C., we're not a nation of cowards. We're not people that are afraid. You know, I always enjoy coming here and speaking to the 912 group because what you have back here on this banner is about principles over politics. It's about principles over parties. It's about philosophy and ideology of governance that guides us. And that's what is the most important thing for each and every one of us to understand. See, right now, this whole thing about Republican and Democrat is starting to break down. Because folks are looking for the individuals that will go out there and understand that it is about empowering the American people. It is not about enslaving the American people. It is about unleashing that entrepreneurial spirit that made this country great. You know, when I talk to folks, I always tell them about back when this country was expanding westward. Nobody went up to the government and said, "Can you give me a wagon? Can you give me a horse? Can you give me a bag of flour? Could you build me a bridge over the Mississippi River?" See, that's not the American way. The American way is that you challenge us, and we'll figure it out. It's just the same as I was looking on YouTube, and I saw a couple of, good old boys who were up there in the Panhandle saying, this is the way you figure out how to take the oil out of the ocean. You poured some oil in a bucket full of water, you took some hay, you threw it in there, you swooped it around a little bit, and guess what? All the oil connected itself to the hay, and you pulled it out. See, that's American ingenuity. We've got a government, we've got British Petroleum sitting up there saying, well, let's see, maybe we can shoot mud into it, maybe we can drop a big thing over it. But all the time, all you have to do is turn to the average American citizen and say, how do we do this? How do we take care of it? You see, that's the beauty of who we are. But that's the challenge of what we're about to lose right now in this great nation. That's the challenge. When you have people that don't believe that you are an exceptional people, that don't understand that in 233 years, look at what we've created here in the United States of America. The greatest constitutional republic, the greatest nation that the world will ever know. And yet people want to take that away from us. You know, in the past couple of weeks, all you have to do is sit down and look at some of the things that have happened. I spent 2.5 years in Afghanistan. And in the past 2 weeks, every single major military base in Afghanistan has been attacked. 9 years into fighting, and we still have an enemy that is able to mount large combat operations. Now, what do the generals say? Well, the generals have proposed a new award for courageous restraint. We want to reward our soldiers for not shooting back. You know, and it's not just that. It's also about telling our soldiers before they go out on patrol, they can't chamber around. Well, let me tell you something. Having been in a firefight, you got about 3 to 4 seconds before people start dying. And when you have rules of engagement that provide the enemy the initiative, that provide the enemy the advantage, we're going to continue to lose our men and women. That's why you need people in Washington, D.C. that's been on the ground. You know, this morning I sat down and I met with the parents and the older brother of Lieutenant Michael Behenna. How many people have heard of Lieutenant Michael Behenna? Lieutenant Michael Behenna is sitting in Fort Leavenworth Prison right now. 15-year sentence for killing a known Al-Qaeda operative who lunged to attack him. But yet when you read the New York Times this week, the New York Times had an article whereby Afghan fathers and tribal elders are going up to the United States military and presenting a piece of paper that says that they pledge that their sons will be good if they release them and turn them back over to them. And yet we have 10 Army soldiers sitting in prison while we are allowing the enemy to be released based upon good word. We are getting upside down in the United States of America. We cannot continue to fight like this. You read the fact that North Korea just recently sunk that South Korean investment. And what did the Secretary of State say to North Korea? We want them to apologize. Well, I just got to tell you, if you ever saw that movie, what was the one with the little puppets? Team America. Kim Jong-il is not about to apologize to anybody. But yet, all of these things are happening because we're portraying weakness all across the world, here in the United States of America. You look at what's happening in Greece, ladies and gentlemen. If we continue on the road map that we're on right now, in maybe about 4 to 5 years, that's us. See, the whole problem that's happening in Greece is that you get 50 years of age, you can retire. 80% pension. That's unsustainable. And so all of a sudden the Greek government says, we can't do this anymore. We're broke. And what did the entitlement class in Greece say? We don't care. See, we live right now in the United States of America where it was just said about a month and a half ago, 47% of Americans don't pay federal income taxes. But yet 47%, they vote. So it's very easy for some very dastardly people to manipulate that by saying, you get free health care, you get free education, you get a free car, you get free appliances, you get a free cell phone. And the other 53% were going to be the ones that pay for that. What happens when it becomes 50% paying for the other 50%? You will lose the United States of America. Because when you have a production class that equals the entitlement class, sooner or later the production class is going to stop producing. And that's what you see happening in Greece, to the point where now they're talking about selling off the Greek government to make money. And that can happen here in the United States of America. See, that's why people are upset about what Governor Brewer has done in Arizona. Because the whole plan was to take 12 to 15 million illegal immigrants and make them citizens of the United States of America. And once you make them citizens of the United States of America, production class or entitlement class? You're going to break the country. Because sooner or later it'll be 55% taking care of, 45% taking care of 55%. See, just yesterday, when it comes out and it says that our debt is starting to overtake our gross domestic product, our GDP. But yet, do you hear about the people in Washington, D.C. cutting back on the spending? Because the thing is, they have to continue to provide those free entitlements. They have to continue to provide those things that they have promised people, because it is not so much about the future and the legacy of this constitutional republic. It is about staying in power. It is about a ruling class elite. It is about a new 21st century American Politburo that believes that they know what's best for you. See, 12%. The public sector is outpacing the private sector. And when the public sector is growing faster than the private sector, that means you don't have the money. You don't have the money for investment. You don't have the money for ingenuity. You don't have the money for innovation. There will not be long-term economic growth in the United States of America. Because the bottom line is this. Government is the only thing that can run itself in the red. And if it wants to generate capital, it prints more money, it borrows more money, or it raises taxes. And that's exactly the three things that we're doing right now in the United States of America, which history will tell you that will keep you in the economic morass that we're in right now. It will lead to an even deeper recession and possibly a depression. And if you continue to print more money, that means you're going to have inflation. That means you're going to devalue your dollar. If you continue to borrow more money, guess who owns you? Communist China. And that's a communist China that understood one simple thing with the collapse of the Soviet Union. We did not defeat the Soviet Union militarily, ladies and gentlemen. We defeated the Soviet Union economically. China paid attention to that. But once China got a hold of Hong Kong, they realized that even